Control of the point here, so not disastrous for them, but they are losing players slowly. With Sharp down, they lose all of that damage in the fight, and the Florida Mayhem can take that ground with impunity. They just push across, destroy the Atlanta Reign, and okay, they gave up 20%, but now Florida Mayhem are truly in control.
Traded out from both these teams now, as they're trying to keep the rest of them alive. The Atlanta Reign with a big advantage, and Sharp with the Death Blossom, just to really seal the deal here. Might even be able to get a second one, indeed he does. Nicely done by the Atlanta Reign to retake that one.
Yeah, pretty nice there, actually.
He got blown up immediately. The Florida Mayhem in a good position, maybe, to come back in with the counter sound barrier. They're going to be diving straight back in, and Sharp goes down, following up straight away. Hawk ended up using his mech there just to try and stave off the aggression, using his self-destruct. Not enough. And despite the best efforts from Massa, trying to go for these boop attempts, last-ditch attempts, will not be enough to try and turn the tide of the fight. But a sound barrier now unleashed by Massa. The EMP comes out as well from the Atlanta Reign as Edison wants to put an end to this team fight once and for all. Yaki falls, but can they get any follow-up? Fate will be next. And off the back of those two picks, the Atlanta Reign are happily going to be flipping this one over, and they're staggering out these members of the Florida Mayhem. That is best-case scenario for the Atlanta Reign. Going on Jim now has to use the Coalescence to keep his team in it, has to use it to try and heal them up, and BQB wants to drop it right here, right now. The Death Blossom getting utilized just to try and get that kill and collect it. Absolute chaos, absolute pandemonium that's occurring on the point here. Neither side wants to give up whatsoever, Josh.
The Atlanta Reign are holding on desperately. They're still in control of the point, and Hawks managed to remake, but the Florida Mayhem are staying in control. They have the better players, they have the better position, and if they can deal with Atlanta, done. He's going to be damage boosted in the backline.
They have to get opening picks here, because if they get dove in the backline, they're just going to turn into mincemeat. Scrap for the pile. The Iris is already down and out, and the Florida Mayhem, I mean, they read them like a book. They could see what they were running. They knew the weaknesses. That percentage already up onto almost 50%, and finally the Atlanta Reign want to strike. The EMP gets unleashed, but the counter EMP from Yaki not enough to try and turn this fight, as already Sharp has got the two opening picks their team needs. So a bit of a waste of the EMP there from Yaki, but yeah, at the end of the day,
Yaki's
they did
tried
take
to go
the
for that
fight.
previously in the previous round, Bren.
He knows that the threat of the EMP is in there. Fate just trying to buy a bit of time with his Primal Rage, create a bit of space as well, just knocking him around, and Massa gets the six-man sound barrier. The Atlanta Reign off the back of that, just concatenating the ultimates. The Death Blossom comes through, and another team fight win for them here. Evening it out the scoreline at least, or at least stayed it up. And now they're in a difficult scenario, because look at this. The ult advantage leading for the Florida Mayhem, and they might not even have to use any more off the top of it. Hawk will go down. Fate has to be used here, but Iris will end up going down regardless, and the Atlanta Reign just trying to stall this out, get as much percentage as they possibly can. If they can get it to 99%, it would be ideal. Doesn't look like they're going to be that lucky though. 95% will do.
He in the previous fight, remember? And Edison's still been able to charge it up. Here comes Yaki though. Catches Massa on 97% as well.
Yeah, what a huge EMP there. And that's high tempo. You need to play like this, because you drag it out any longer. I mean, they've spotted that window of opportunity. Not many teams are able to do that, to know what ultimates. The Atlanta Reign have to turn it around here. This is map number 1 on the line. The sound barrier comes through. Pokpo finds the kill into Gargoyle. He actually knocks him off the edge there with the Primal Rage. Wonderfully done from Pokpo to find that pick for his team. Gonna get anything else though, as the point is still being contested. Yaki with another one, but Hawk! He boosted Fate off the edge of the map, 99%. They're just going to be able to get onto the point here. Florida Mayhem trying to keep it ticking. Iris now with the Coalescence, keeping his team alive. Once again, just trying to deal that consistent damage over to the Florida Mayhem, and only a couple of players remaining. Gargoyle using that self-destruct to try and clear the point. Does get Edison. Not able to get that remake though. Will get taken down almost immediately afterwards, and it is just the stagger, the stall from the Florida Mayhem to try and keep themselves in this one. But the Atlanta Reign mega health pack, that big one. But now the dive attempt gets called here from Florida. They bait around, just trying to see if they can force the position and get a pick, and they do just that. Sharp though, baiting them in as Florida, yeah, overstepping themselves just to a degree. And off the back of it, you can capitalize instantly, and an EMP built up for Edison means that this is going to be a nice position for the Atlanta Reign to be in.
But the EMP still comes out.
It's going to be the counter sound barrier though from Chris, and they've immediately jumped on that opportunity. Sharp caught out of position. He will go down to BQB. That's a wonderful pick, taking out the Reaper. No more consistent damage now for the Atlanta Reign. The Florida Mayhem, I mean, it's just clean and clinical from them. Self-destruct gets committed from Hawk. They might try and want to turn this one. Edison did get a pick onto Gangland Jim, but it feels unturnable. It feels futile. Still, investing ultimates just to get a bit of extra percentage point. I mean, you can argue whether or not that was worthwhile, but Florida Mayhem at least are going to get that retake. Already clashing. You can see the Pogpo ended up using that Primal Rage in the backline. He's going to get hacked up, so you can't really do too much. Meanwhile, the Florida Mayhem happily just able to roll forwards and focus on the backline of the Atlanta Reign, getting the opening picks they need. Now, the positioning that they're in, it's not bad for a couple of the members and force the positioning back. The EMP does catch onto a couple, but Florida Mayhem coming in with a much better one at that. Massa tries to even it out with the sound barrier, but not before Yaki gets 2 picks with the rest of his team. He's finding so many opportunities for them. The overtime will tick, but it is not enough for the Atlanta Reign to stay consistently in this fight. They will not be any more bodies on the point to try and keep this one going. Yaki once again goes for that default hack, will be denied in the end, but it matters not. The Florida Mayhem will be walking away with the win here. In most situations to use, they can get very, very good at it. They might find an opportunity, and just like that, you can see they get a default hack onto Hawk, essentially removing one of the tanks from the team fight and diving straight onto them, punishing the positioning of the Atlanta Reign. They try to take the early fight and early engagement there onto the high ground. The Florida Mayhem now winning that one. They're struggling to really find any sort of foothold, but the Self-Destruct gets sent in early. It's going to force out some abilities now as the Florida Mayhem want to come back into this with a sound barrier. Only connecting onto 3 targets though, not very efficient in the making, and the Atlanta Reign, the Primal Rage is going to easily clean up the rest of the targets, forcing the positioning. It's going to be that first capture going their way with 4. The best teams have, generally speaking, the best Sombra players, and both of these teams have got it in spades. Leading the charge straight away. Pogpo gets deleted, blown up with that initiation. The Florida Mayhem knew exactly how they wanted to take that team fight. And they're going to be rewarded with a nice little win. And now they've got positioning here, Josh.
But I also want to point out Gargoyle are much smarter in terms of how they're working against Edison. Like there, where they dodge around the corner. Unfortunately, it doesn't quite work that time, though, because Edison found the perfect EMP. And the Atlanta Reign are going to be able to clean this one up with ease.
All about the mind games. You find out one dive target and you just jump on it. It's the game plan for the Atlanta Reign. Hey, you know, sometimes it isn't the flashiest of gameplay. The positioning might not be as clean, as clinical, but fully now from the Florida Mayhem as they're trying to close out this team fight, maybe get a nice little forward defense going, but Fate falling early means that this could just be curtains. Still Gargoyle attempts to turn it around, and now look at that, the Death Blossom in close quarters. BQB, the perfect positioning to get maximum value out of it. Sharp falls. Now the Florida Mayhem can take an aggressive dive here to just try and get him out of position, and he's de-mech'd, he's de-suited. This fight is so good for them, but Gargoyle takes out of his position. It's too far forward. Even trades from everyone now. The Coalescence getting forced out from Gangnam just to try and keep his team alive. Realistically, anyone could be the winner here, but the tanks are so low, and Pogpo ends up going down as well. Hawk, the last man standing, just a mech'd on this cart, but he might just get de-suited as well if he's not careful, and indeed, that will be the case.
Disaster!
Oh, no. Down, Yaki comes through the EMP. Edison still holding on to his, comes in for the counter EMP. The Florida Mayhem in trouble, but the sound barrier is perfect from Chris. It catches all 6 members. Not a self-destruct from Hawk. He tries to turn it around, but Yaki's already got 2 picks. It might just be futile. The Primal Rage from Pogpo trying to keep his team alive, trying to keep them into this round. Coalescence from Gangnam Jim just again healing the rest of his team up, and Pogpo will fall as he had to just stay forced up close. The positioning on this card to try and keep the overtime going, and nobody can touch it, Josh. What an absolute... Just coming out early here from Iris, and it's going to be a much better one from Gangnam Jin. And remember, the Florida Mayhem are the ones attacking. Pogpo goes down, the EMP as well. Everyone falling now like dominoes. Florida Mayhem. Not only that, but he only had to use the EMP and the Coalescence to try and take that fight with 5.5 minutes, Josh. Choke point to try and contest it, but they do get their feet on the card. The EMP comes out, but it only connects onto Fate. The Florida Mayhem with picture-perfect positioning once again, avoiding all of the EMP. And now, the Florida Mayhem will collapse. They will pounce on their prey. They will claim their prize. A couple of opportunities now for the Atlanta Reign to try and turn it, but it will not be enough, as they force them back with brute force and determination. And this cart will roll in. The Florida Mayhem are going to lead this series now in a 2-0.
How do you disrupt the Florida Mayhem and their amazing ult play? You get the EMP before they've even realized. But there, the counter EMP comes out.
Wow.
And Massa, he's just a little too late with the beat. He did his job perfectly, but Edison was just a bit too far forwards. That aggressive Sombra gameplay that gave him the early EMP is also the thing that ruins him in the team fight later on.
Still, the Atlanta Reign don't want to give this one up. The South Destruct comes through. They want to try and turn this fight. With the patience from the Florida Mayhem, it's exemplary. They're just finding so many opportunities from baiting in the aggression of the Atlanta Reign, and it's looking like the Atlanta Reign have got the players back into positioning. The question is, can they take this fight now, as the Coalescences once again are going to be traded off from both of these teams? But the default hack onto Iris, he cannot find his way out of it. Hacked up there by Yaki, and again, during that fight, Yaki's going to be building up his EMP. The never-ending team fight. You have to be playing with their positioning. If EMP comes through into the backline, it connects onto 2 targets. Gargoyle and Chris going to be hacked up. Gargoyle's going to get desuited as a result of that. You can see Sharp use that Death Blossom to try and turn this thing around. Gainantin using the Coalescence and the Sound Barrier overlap. The Atlanta Reign now in a troubling scenario because Iris went down there. No more Coalescence for them to try and turn this fight around. Yaki brings down Edison. It's all up to the primal range of Pogpo to try and turn it now. The South Destruct, though, it's perfect! And Hawk will go down in the end. Another hack onto Pogpo means that he was just, again, a sitting duck on the point. And Sharp, a couple of last-ditch heroics from him will not be enough to try and turn that fight around. He is just going to stagger himself out. They don't even care about it, and eventually it will fade, as all things in life do. The dive attempt from Pogpo, a last-ditch effort, but he's going to get solo EMP'd in the backline, taken out momentarily. The overtime burns. They will just about touch onto the point here. The Atlanta Reign with one last opportunity. Sharp moved back into the fray with the Death Blossom. He did get the pick-off, but can he get much more? The Florida Mayhem just collapsing on them, feasting on them, and that is going to be the hold. The Atlanta Reign with only 92%. One bit of damage that they put into Pogpo. Another dive attempt comes through with a default hack onto Hawk, and it has been Yaki. So consistent with these default hacks, so consistent across the board. Finding that opening for the rest of his team with that D-Mech now onto Hawk. Hawk is going to get remeked up, and now it's going to be some early ultimates exchange. The EMP from Yaki just to try and close this series out if he can. The South Destruct as well from Gargoyle forces them away from the point, but it's not over just yet. Samaya from the Florida Mayhem just to give them that health point advantage. And now as the kills come through, the Florida Mayhem